والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Taha, in verse 25 to 32, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي أشدد به أزري وأشركه في أمري. Which translates approximately as Musa alayhi salam said, My Lord, expand for me my breast, and ease for me my task, and untie the knot from my tongue, that they may understand my speech, and appoint for me a minister from my family, Harun, my brother, and increase through him my strength, and let him share my task. So I guess we all are aware of the context of these verses, whereby Musa alayhi salam is making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before entering Egypt, as he begins the task of calling Fir'aun to Islam. Here my intention is not to focus on the dua itself, but to take from it the wisdom and the lessons. So in these verses, Musa alayhi salam is actually building a plan before he takes up this important duty. So firstly, Musa alayhi salam is preparing himself for da'wah. So the first and most important aspect of da'wah is the strength of one's knowledge, wisdom and sincere faith. So he's expressing his willingness to learn when he says, Ishrah li sadri, from his heart and his mind. The second element of Musa alayhi salam, his plan was to deal with the apparent problem in the communication. Now, the problem, some scholars say, may have been a speech impediment, whereas others say that it might be a dialect or a language issue, so which was spoken by the Coptics of Egypt back then. So whichever was the issue, Musa alayhi salam's plan was to overcome this problem by means of his brother Harun alayhi salam. So that was the second aspect of his plan. And the last element of Musa alayhi salam's plan was the matter of logistics and support. So human elements and tools required to support him and carry out him in his mission. So for this reason, he planned, included to his brother Harun alayhi salam as a physical and moral support for facing Fir'aun. So in short, we can see that by means of Musa alayhi salam's dua, he was actually putting in place and preparing himself for the big task. And similarly, we can see many such incidents in Islamic history where planning and preparation is done before a big task. For instance, in the hijrah of Prophet ﷺ from Mecca to Medina. So I will not go into details, but we are aware that the planning started many weeks in advance by means of choosing the companion, by means of choosing the means of transportation, the arrangement of the money, taking of a longer route to Medina, and so on and so forth. So it is only logical that one of the 5 pillars of Islam, the month of Ramadan, which comes once in a year, يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. O you who believe, fasting has been prescribed unto you, as it was prescribed upon those before you, so that you might become pious, which is لعلكم تتقون. And there may be different interpretations of the word taqun or taqwa, and I will not go into it, but some of them are so that you may attain piety, you might become God conscious or God fearing. And as I said, I don't want to go into the details of this, but لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ means so that you may become, say, more God-fearing. Alright? So meaning that you might become something which you are not today, or something you might go a higher level than what you are today. So it is a change process from where we are today. And that task, we would do our best not only in Ramadan, but also to maintain it after Ramadan as much as possible. So Ramadan is a pit stop for us where we stop, which not only corrects us during this month, but also guides us for the future. A very interesting analogy that a contemporary scholar gives about Ramadan, he calls it similar to a very big car service. Alright, so for those of us who know cars, I assume everybody over here, we have small services every 5,000, 10,000 kilometers where we change the oils, change the filters. So he calls this Ramadan a 40,000 kilometer service where we give it a big overhaul. So normally you find these companies actually giving your car a 30-point check or a 45-point check, where the technician goes and monitors every little part of the car. How is this? How is this? How is this? What is the condition? What needs to be changed? This is fine. So that's at the end of the day. So this is what he ends up with, probably changing your spark plugs or belts or brake pads or whatever. So similarly, before Ramadan, it is essential for us, very similarly, that we become our own technicians. Alright? During this month of Shaban, we need to do a lot of self-introspection on the current state of our Iman. How is my connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What is the state of my salah?
How are my relations with my next of kin? What is the state of my sadaqah and charity and so on? And for this, I would recommend to also take feedback from people around you, known people that you trust, your brothers, probably even your spouses, because you might probably not see something that they might see in your personality. And then we need to put in place a feasible plan to change our current situation. And all of this is done towards preparation of Ramadan, which is now in the month of Sha'ban. And mind you, the level of taqwa is not the same for each and every one of us. We have our own different lives with our own blessings and own challenges, own family and health status. So the idea for us is, irrespective of our level, is to move one step forward or even 2 steps forward with this month of Ramadan. Yes, you can take inspiration from each other's, but what might be a priority for me to change might not be a priority for somebody else to change. So however, there might be many similarities. So in short, the preparation for Ramadan starts not only in Ramadan, but even before it. And we have a saying in the corporate world that if you fail to plan, then you are planning to fail. I think that's clear. So basically, if you are not planning, then most likely you're going to be failing itself. So very similarly, if we don't plan for Ramadan the way Musa alayhi salam planned before going to meet Fir'aun, if we don't plan the way Prophet ﷺ planned before he migrated, then most likely we are planning to fail our Ramadan. So some tips for us on how to go about this planning is as below. I've divided into 3 sections. So basically, preparing the mind, preparing the soul, and preparing the body. So first, let's start off with preparing the mind. Firstly, as we are instructed before any task, and probably a few of us who have done the NLP class as well, is to make an intention that we will approach Ramadan with a positive mindset. Now, the reason I say that, because many times we tend to approach Ramadan with a slightly negative mindset, such as saying, Ya Allah, how are we going to fast in the Ramadan in these hot temperatures, in these long days? That's already a negative first step forward. Or sometimes somebody might say, I have so much work to do in this Ramadan, I don't think I'll be able to give full advantage to Ibadah. So such negative thoughts should be the furthest away from our minds as we approach Ramadan. As we know in the beautiful saying of Prophet ﷺ, Inna ana inda dhanni abdi bi, inna dhanna khayran falahu wa innahu dhanna sharran falahu. And which translates approximately as, I am with my slave as he expects me to be.
Ana inda husn dhanni ala abdi.
Ana inda
Husn.
Probably, maybe because I got something else. But again, the translation is, I am with my slave as he expects me. If he expects good, then he gets it. If he expects evil, then he gets it. SubhanAllah, it's a beautiful hadith. Probably we can get the correct one from the Shaykh afterwards.
No, you are correct. Not husn.
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
SubhanAllah.
In the Zanni.
So, no matter what our current or future expected condition is, let's approach the month of Ramadan with a positive mindset. So that's point number 1. Next, as I said, let's do a self-evaluation, as I mentioned earlier on. So each of us are requested to give us some, as they call, me time. Just take away from the kids, from the work, from family, sit down and actually do a brain dump of your thoughts. What are your strengths? What are your areas of improvements? Where are you halfway there from a deen perspective? And look at any of those challenges which could hinder you to Jannah. Anything, be it your bad habits, be it anything that I said before, relationship with your parents, with your loved ones, it could be your state of salah. Put it all down and say that this is my actually list of priorities that I would need to focus on. And this self-evaluation is that then we put a plan to actually counter these issues. The next step I would say is take care in advance of the upcoming commitments, such as our projects, our exams, business travels, vacations, because I think you know that basically it steps into the vacation time, and that's when the school gets over and most of probably are flying. I'm actually flying just at the end of Ramadan. So we need to take in advance these commitments. So whatever is going to be required, maybe shopping at the end, let's try and get these things out of the way as soon as possible and not let it actually disturb our Ramadan. Start working on our patience, because we tend to sometimes, even in Ramadan, lose our cool. So let's try and start working on the patience right now itself. There could be things that easily annoy us and make us lose our cool, be it traffic or children or colleagues. So let's start and work on it at the moment itself. On a similar note, let's also plan to work on our tongue, be it vain talks or backbiting. Let's also plan to actually think about i'tikaf. Now, subhanAllah, I always think of a brother when I think about i'tikaf who used to always start off his year when we actually have 30 days of vacation. He actually used to keep 10 days aside immediately for i'tikaf, and then he should take only 20 days for his vacation, for his family or whatever. So he used to make that thing at the starting of the year. So this is some inspiration which I have taken once in a while from him, and I feel that's something which we can do as well. So basically plan ahead if we can for the i'tikaf as well, because in the last minute it's not always easily to do. Plan to reduce our social media and news time especially. It would be difficult for us Indians with the election time coming up, so let's try and still have a balance, but try and just use it optimally as possible. Let's make mental notes and prepare for all the Eid shopping, as I said, and the vacation that we might be going, and let's try to get these distractions out of the way as much as possible. Next, the second one is let's go to the preparation of the soul. So the ruh, or the soul, is satisfied, as we know, and fed through something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala specifically sent in the Quran. The food for the soul is dhikr, remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the reading of the Quran and its constant remembrance. So there is no better time to start nourishing than now in the month of Shaban. So on that note, we would need to improve the conditions for Salah. We know our current state, so the idea is to improve, whether it could be with regards to getting up for Fajr or making it for Jama'ah, or it could be general punctuality of Salah. So we know our current state, let's look at it and let's try and take it to the next level. On the same note, I would suggest myself all to beautify our Salah. Now with different surahs that we are probably used to commonly, because we normally tend to get stuck only with the few bunch of surahs that we lead, and we know probably a few more, but we don't go there. So let's try and go beyond that one. Alright, alhamdulillah, I was able to personally practice this in Umrah. So just a few weeks ago, where there is no work, no family over there, so you're able to try and do this and experiment, go on to new surahs, look into the meanings. So it really gives the Salah a lot more, let's say, makes it a lot more tasteful, a lot more refreshing. Again, on the same note, we need to get our bodies and our system also used to Qiyam. Getting up in the morning is not going to be easy suddenly from Ramadan. So let's try and do once in a while in the month of Shaban itself. Quran study circle will most likely not happen in Ramadan. However, we need to increase our connection with the Quran as well. So with our reading and understanding. So again, let's start it now and continue what we're doing. And moving forward, this is also the best time to start learning and practicing other forms of dhikr and general du'as. So for me, one of my targets is to actually by heart what we've done this Surah Qiyamah. So it's my target basically. So maybe we can have our own targets of what we want to learn, which dua, which surah, to actually try and see to take it to the next level. So let's start these now. And lastly is the preparing of the body. So Ramadan brings changes in our daily routine. If we don't prepare for it now, then we would lose the first few days just getting our bodies set for that. So let's start to get our bodies and systems used to it in advance. So for instance, with voluntary fasts. So we can start with the fasts of the white days, the 13th, 14th and 15th of the Shaban, or we could fast the Mondays and the Thursdays, and or we can fast the whole month. So once Ramadan would arrive, we would be ready to handle all the challenges of fasting, either while work or driving, or managing all those initial headaches. So our body is already in the state and we are going fast. We all know the importance of having a balanced and healthy diet in Ramadan, so let's start with eating healthier from right now itself. For people on medication, of course, are requested to take matters with their doctor to prepare themselves. And lastly, to improve our sleep patterns, to be able to get sufficient rest of the body to function perfectly during the day, and let's keep the schedule in Ramadan as well. So that's pretty much from my side. I don't think I have done full justice for this topic. Nonetheless, I hope there is something good that has come from this. Sheikh can add for sure something. In conclusion, I would like to just say that we are all aware of people who probably witnessed Ramadan last year, but who probably are not with us today, or even with this Ramadan. Hence, I would like to conclude with the dua, Allahumma barik lana fi Sha'ban wa ballighna Ramadan. So translating possibly as, oh Allah, bless us in Sha'ban and allow us to arrive and witness the month of Ramadan. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen wa jazakumullahu khairan.